radio.
You got another unit coming up behind you, and one oncoming as well, if everybody's tracking.
10-4, we're going right over you now, to the line, guys.
116 of these units behind the road Camaro, we're overhead of you now.
I'm Jacqueline Gooding. I'm a trooper for the Texas Highway Patrol for the Texas Department of Public Safety. I've been a trooper for about 4.5 years, and that entire time I've been stationed here on the border in Del Rio. I always had great interactions with law enforcement growing up and just seeing the positivity that they bring to our community. On top of that, before I applied for DPS, I was working in a family business for a gun range, teaching gun safety lessons, teaching people how to shoot and defend themselves. I had a lot of friends in law enforcement that I highly respected. I loved to hear what they did. And I honestly just thought, man, I feel like I could do that and succeed and help people even further than what I'm doing now. So some of the relationships that I built when I was working in the firearms industry are kind of what guided me. And I had kind of my own little hometown heroes that I looked up to, and a lot of those guys were troopers. I thought what they did was so cool. They looked great in the cowboy hats too, so you can't take away from that, right? But it's always been something that I've admired, and I've been really privileged to be able to be a part of any kind of law enforcement agency, but especially being a trooper.
Off the roadway, vehicles off the roadway. To your right, in that traffic, same lane of traffic. Bail out.
It's 10-4, bail out, US 57 near the 388 mile marker.
We've got just the driver that ran. We've got a trooper, an officer with him.
Yeah, I think this is where we're kind of scattered. I can't get away. That just came up and I heard it just
Alright, we got troops surrounding him. Be careful, guys. We've got troops and officers on the driver. They've got him tackled.
I think specifically being a woman in law enforcement with interacting with the public, that in some ways I think that you have a little bit of relatability, because almost everyone, has a mother that they are aware of, or a sister, or someone of that nature, that they may be a little more tender-hearted than, the typical more, I guess, masculine male roles that are played. So I think a lot of people can relate, to women, and especially if you're friendly and respectful to people, most people are that way back. I would say that's a generality even with males, that if we're friendly, like males are friendly to males, they'll get that back. But specifically being a woman, I do think that it tends to be relatable, and a lot of people, especially men, are protective of women for the most part. And I would say as a generality on even arrest, I think there have been cases where I've been treated maybe a little bit more kindly or more respect because of that. As a woman going into law enforcement, I think naturally you're gonna feel a little hesitation. You're gonna wonder, is it going to be affected in a negative way? Am I gonna be held back from things because I'm a woman? And I can tell you from my personal experience, I've never felt that. If anything, I feel like a lot of my successes are things that I've used from a female perspective, things that were benefits as being a female in law enforcement. And in DPS specifically, we've seen many of our leaders and some of our up-and-coming positions, and a big push because we want women in law enforcement to have diversity, not only with males and females, but different races, different religions, different backgrounds. Are you military or are you civilian? Having all of us work together as a team is only a pro. It's never a con when you can get more perspectives than just one. So DPS definitely recognizes that. I think there is a big push in law enforcement recognizing what a benefit is to have women in law enforcement. I think that the unique thing of being in law enforcement, interacting with children, is it takes you out of that costume that you're wearing for just a second, right? So when we put on this, I say costume, but you can say, our uniform, it sometimes acts as a costume. It's like a superhero where you get to be somebody that when I take it off, I'm Jacqueline, but when this is on, I'm Trooper Gooding. So interacting with children takes that away a little bit, and it reminds you that you're a human, and to them, you may or may not be Trooper Gooding. You may be this person that is the only person reassuring them or taking care of them or looking out for them at that time. So it definitely melts the iciest of hearts, I think, when you have to deal with children. I've worked several really bad wrecks where children were involved, and even innocent adults, where you're able to help families get through situations that they didn't deserve to be in because they were completely innocent bystanders that were impacted in a terrible, terrible way because of selfishness of the human smuggling trade, because that's what it is. So there's so many stories that we have here, even specifically as a border issue, where we do get to help people on a daily basis, and you're right, they are forgotten about a lot of the time. I think for us, a lot of those stories of kind of our hey, we saved this person, we helped this person, a lot of us don't even want to share those stories out of the fear of being thought of as like cocky or big-headed or whatever, trying to speak highly of ourselves. I think that most people in law enforcement are pretty hard on themselves.